Hey everybody, it's January 3rd, 2023, and it's the second day of 30 that I'll be delivering some sort of inspirational message or something that makes you reflect on where you are in your present space. This morning I watched a documentary called Wildcat, and it is about a young soldier who is discharged from the service. He had been suffering from some reoccurring depression and PTSD and was medically discharged. He had experienced and witnessed some horrific um, deaths in his time in the service, and he was having a difficult time with life. And so after being discharged, he actually decided that um, he wasn't sure that his life was still worth living. And so he packed his things up and he went to the Amazon forest and met a young scientist named Sam. She was spearheading a sanctuary, so to speak, 5 hours away in the middle of the jungle, rehabbing and saving animals that may be captured and sold on the black market or, abused in some way. And so this project that he takes on with her starts with this young, I think it's called an ocelot. It's a wildcat, and it was a baby. And they started, bottle feeding and knew that it would take at least 14 months of working with this animal to be able to release it back into the wild and have it survive. The process for that was training the cat to learn the difference between what to eat and what not to eat in the wild, what was a safe prey, what was poisonous, um, the times of day to do that. And so this young soldier would go out in the middle of the night with just a flashlight, wading through swamps, shrubbery, and in the beginning, capturing like mice and insects and snakes and showing the cat, this is what you eat. Eat this. This is how you um, bite it in the neck. Like very, very specific um, training. And if you think about the connection that it took for this animal to understand what he was trying to teach him, it makes sense why we have this, deep bond with animals. So I can't remember the time frame, but the first cat goes out into the night with him, and he's showing him, here's some things that you need to, attack. And one of them was, it was a small reptile, very strong. And when the cat went to attack, he got bit and he did not survive. And it was in that moment that this young soldier completely started doubting his self-worth, his purpose. The reason why he was there was to help, and he felt responsible for the death of this cat. And it was very difficult for him, and he ends up spiraling into that headspace where a lot of us go when our life starts to, go on the wayside. And so he ends up working his way through that. And another cat is then brought to um, the facility. And he was afraid. He was afraid to step into that role again, to be responsible for this animal after what had happened to the previous one. And the journey for him in moving through that fear is impactful. The journey in this bond that he created with his animal is also impactful. The healing that this young man needed from what he experienced being in the service was progressing through his work with this particular animal. And so it gets to the point where the animal is about 14 months old, and that is the time normally where the mom would abandon or send, their orphans, their orphans, that's really not right, send their litter off on their own. They're basically orphans then, right? And there's this element where you can tell that this young soldier is starting to wrap his head around the idea of having to let go of something that he loves. And so he keeps prepping him and prepping him. And it gets to the point where he's about 18 months old and he goes out for the night on his own, and the young soldier is just elated because he felt then that he had accomplished what he'd set out to do. The next time he goes out, he's gone for a while. And then you see the young man digress back into this unworthiness. I didn't train him well enough. What if he didn't make it out there? It's my fault. I'm responsible. And so you see the fluctuations of the mind, which is what the practice of yoga talks about, how the mind and the overthinking just churns and churns and churns. And it's in seated meditation that we sit with those thoughts and let them spin, but become unwavered by them at some point. This young man is not able to be unwavered. He is deeply affected by the assumption that the cat didn't make it. After 5 days, the cat comes back, and he's just completely elated that he had survived 5 days. And he's like, okay, now it's time. Now it's really time. And so he takes him out into the forest during the day, and he's saying his goodbye. And it's heartbreaking because you feel that bond and you feel that connection and you feel that healing element that this animal has provided this young soldier. And he gets up and he runs away and he's like, you can't follow me. You have to stay, stay, stay. And I can't remember how long of a time frame went by, but the cat didn't want to let him go either. And so then the young soldier is forced to, be mean and scare him away. And it took days, and it was difficult to watch because when you love something so much and you know you need to let it go, and you have to set those boundaries of pushing it away, it's not easy. And this movie was impeccable timing for something that I needed to let go of and I needed to set a boundary with, and there is still love there, but it was time to say goodbye. The story continues on in an amazing way, also in ways that are very vulnerable for this young soldier to share. And there's elements that I'm going to leave out because I hope that you take the opportunity to watch it from the perspective of understanding that we are all moving through life with experiences that trigger us into these mindsets that we are not enough. that we are in control of somebody else's life, whether it be an animal or another human being. That we have moments that trigger us back into those old thoughts. And unless we are able to have humility and vulnerability to share what is going on within us, others may judge us based on our reaction or responses to the world. And so, can we look past when somebody is acting in a negative way towards us, that maybe they are being triggered into something that they've not dealt with in their life? Whew, that was an intense movie to watch in some elements for sure, but it was also so beautifully put together. So again, the name of the movie is called Wildcat, and I hope wherever you're existing today, that if there is something in your life that you've tucked away and not dealt with, that you can peel back a layer to step in a little bit closer and know that there is somebody out there that has a similar experience that can maybe help guide you through it. And then if you are somebody that is trying to let go of something right now that is taxing on the heart, to go easy on yourself and to find yourself some grace, and to keep remembering that love is always within us. And when we hold on to the external forces of love, we suffer when we have to let it go. That's my ramble for today. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll check in with you tomorrow. Cheers.